What's a secret within your industry that you all don't want the public to know, but they probably should? I'm only supposed to put 6 olives on your footlong. You all deserve to know. I used to work there and just put a small handful on. I would get in trouble for it occasionally, but it was better than carefully laying out 6 olives across a foot of bread and seeing the customer's look of absolute contempt. The one thing I love about the subway I go to is they do the handful method. I tend to get massive amounts of pickles and they don't charge me for them. Work there. Anyone can have as many veggies as they want. They have to ask though. Currently Corp is breathing down every manager's neck, so we have to go back to 6 olives. But you can literally keep asking for more and we can't say number. We get yelled at for food cost, but customers can have as many veggies as they want. How the fuck does that work? How the fuck does that work? It works because most folks will be fine with the standard amount, and even though some will ask for more, in the grand scheme of things you will use less overall by starting with smaller default portions. Though I'm not sure about 3 olives per each half of a foot long, that does seem ridiculous. But I hate olives, so I'll be pissed if you put one on there. I went to Subway the other day, and asked the guy to put extra olives and he was like, I'm only supposed to put 6 you know, and I put on 12. If you want more I'm going to have to charge you extra. No thanks. Go to a Subway near a business district during lunch. They don't fuck around because their clientele can afford to go elsewhere if they're not up to par. Yep, there's at least 3 fast lunch spots every block. If I don't like your service I can drop another $3. Walk another 2 blocks and have better food. Manager of a lighting business. If you're a band and rent a light for more than an 18-week tour, you basically paid the full retail price of that light for us, and we continue to rent it out making profits off of it for years. I can't tell you how many lights, some with price tags of over $10,000 to $15,000 per light, a car company have rented from us that we bought new from manufacturer just because said car company would be renting the lights for 5 months to do car shows. They basically bought the light for us, then paid us more money to have them for another few weeks. The even crazier part is they will rent them again the next year. They could have just as easily bought these lights and kept them in a storage facility. But I think the justification for it is that moving lights are very complex machines and we maintain them after every single show, event that they go to. I think the justification for it is that moving lights are very complex machines and we maintain them after every single show, event that they go to. This right here, dude. I worked for a non-profit that put on shows for half a year, every year. And decent lighting would drain our budget. We looked into buying lights ourselves, but that would mean we'd need the ability to store it somewhere, rent a rig to put them up, and hope that we don't screw anything up in the process of either of those. Basically, the rental cost is high because owning and handling it yourself is a pain in the ass. Companies know you guys are charging us out the ass, but if you fuck up the lights before our show, you'll have it fixed and it's not our problem to worry about. I work as a statistician in the healthcare industry. My company does consulting work for hospitals all over the country, and I sometimes go with our consultants when they present our findings to the hospital's executive teams. I have yet to see an executive team that was concerned with patient care, even at not-for-profit hospitals. No matter how poorly they were doing, all they cared about was cutting costs so the hospital could make more money. Our consultants were good about explaining how poor patient care can ultimately affect their bottom line, but it's disheartening to see people running hospitals who don't care about people dying in their facilities. I worked as an RN in a large health system, and quit because this attitude was obvious. Even from the bottom of the organization, management wanted us to use scripts to try and manipulate patients into saying good things about us on the surveys, and would rather spend money on trainings for that than even discuss safe staffing levels. Your direct caregivers probably want you to get well. The higher decision makers couldn't care less. funeral home worker for 5 years. That casket has a huge markup and it is illegal for a funeral home to not let you source your own casket. In my area Amish make them and their prices run from reasonable to unreasonable, and here's another tip. Walmart sells caskets. They are still slightly overpriced but usually better than what your director is probably selling. Shop your casket options. Out of curiosity, I checked Costco. They also sell caskets, but only about $100 cheaper than Walmart. There are so many mice and or rats in and around grocery stores. We are required by law to take measure to control the population and dispose of contaminated products. But short of a full-blown infestation, no store is going to be shut down for having mice. My mom's work had like 5 kittens. But when the kittens showed up, that's when they stopped having a pigeon problem. My cat get locked down on the church tower of my father's village. We only lived here on weekends and holidays, and the priest only go there on Sundays, so the cat was locked almost a whole week. My father thought that the cat was dead for lack of food and water till he went to the tower and found a fat and happy cat and 2 dozens of pigeons killed in a line. The cat was very proud of herself, and the priest too, because he hated the tower pigeons. I work in visual effects for large Hollywood movies. We do so much digital cleanup and enhancement of practical effects, yet get no credit for how it looks. We only get shit on when a director or studio forces us to make cartoony CG characters or unphotorealistic backgrounds. We're the only department that doesn't have a union, yet we're in charge of upwards of half the movie's budget. Life of Pi was shot mostly on green screen, yet the cinematographer got an Oscar, even though most of those shots were created later in VFX without his input. The downfall of the VFX industry is its best when you don't realize you even worked on it. Try not to let this get you down. A lot of us appreciate your work. I'm in the games industry, so I know a lot of people in movie effects. And it just makes me so mad how you guys are treated. I know people who worked on Life of Pi and got laid off while the movie was getting rewards and all the accolades. These studios want high budget effects for a low budget price, and it's a damn shame because you guys are freaking killing it with no credit. I always stay after the credits at films to look at the various studios that were involved because man. So much talent involved. I'm a designer in the toy and novelty gift industry. I work for one of those companies that make things like farts in a can, or heat-sensitive mugs with funny messages on the side. We make versions of beer pong and miniature table tennis. If you're buying a stocking filler at Christmas, it's probably from a company like mine. Literally everything we make is copied or ripped off from somebody else. It is made in the cheapest possible way over in China, with very little testing. It's poorly conceived, poorly made, and poorly marketed. Most of the people that create and sell this shit admit that it's good for nothing but landfill. However, amazingly we manage to turn over several million a year in sales. Am a valet. Will drive your personal car gently. Rentals. Will try to get hair on speed bumps. Also, at least at my location, we're not gonna look through your shit. I don't care what's in your glove box. Although I will judge you if your car smells like garbage or farts. Stop judging my farts. I was nervous for my date. Do what I do. Once they build up and pressure has to be released, pretend like the car is driving funny. Pull over, get out and walk around the car looking at the tires, kicking them, whatever. All the while just farting like you have never farted before. I used to work at Texas Roadhouse, and yes, we are required to say hand-cut steaks, freshly baked bread, fall-off-the-bone ribs, ice-cold beer and legendary margaritas. Secret shoppers come in 3 or more times per month as regular guests, and management gets a report of whether or not we said all of the story items, among other things. If you get a bad score on a shop, you get fired or you have to be a busser for a month. True story. They started in my hometown. They didn't used to micromanage, but that's what happens eventually. I still love to eat, but I hate cheesy gimmicks that get enforced negatively. Seems unnecessary and aged. I work in national sales for Pepsi, And even though Roadhouse isn't a Pepsi customer, I can let you know that each vendor, company pays large amounts of contractual funds for those sayings to be said, which is why the company secret shops, to provide valid backup data to the companies that are paying out. Always bigger picture. Or if it is a proprietary item of the company, it is one of the higher margin items they are pushing for profit. Worked in the tattoo and body piercing industry for years, and we all know that tooth piercing, which has been claimed to help with migraines, is a sham. But they'll take your money for believing stupid shit and pretend it works.